Today, slot cars take on the greatest opponent yet, physics. I spent the entire day engineering a system capable of storing an enormous amount of potential energy, waiting to be unleashed as a propagating wave of kinetic energy. A slot car will launch down the straight at full speed before charging into La Breche, where it must execute a perfect controlled drift, not just to survive the corner, but to trigger the chain reaction. From that moment on, it's a drag race of slot car versus physics. The first to reach the finish line earns the right to unleash a spectacular barrage of fireworks. You only got one chance on this, because there's absolutely no way I'm going through the pain of setting this whole thing up again. Ah, for f***'s sake. Yep, this is me. And you're probably wondering how I got into this situation. The Air1 circuit is getting faster. And with speed comes the very real risk of sending your cars into orbit. So over the next few episodes, we're going to build defensive solutions for every situation that puts your cars, your circuit, and your spectators at risk. This is track defense. Well, keeping your cars protected is obviously a good thing. But what's the point of protecting them if you can't actually see them doing something awesome? So today, we will work on that. First, let's get the section of the track that will be the subject of our build. This is the bridge entering La Breche. The plan is to add a barrier that will stop cars from going airborne, while keeping the profile as low as possible on what is already a pretty busy section of the track with the underpass and stuff. With the bridge on the bench, we can take some measurements and figure out what we are actually building. And being an old school tinkerer, I'm going to mark all of this directly onto my workbench. Because who has time for pen and paper, right? And yes, a calculator is absolutely necessary. I only have 10 figures, you know. For the height of the build, I'm using one of the concrete barriers from an earlier episode as my reference. I use the same reference for all my defensive builds to keep everything consistent. But if you don't have one of these, we're looking at about 30 millimeters. And if you're wondering, yes, it is in scale for the 132 scale cars. To that, I'll add the thickness of the ridge, plus a few millimeters for a lip. And that gives us a total barrier height of 55 millimeters.
To the metric system.
For the first part of the barrier, I'm using some 3mm MDF offcuts I had lying around the shop. I'll score and cut this into 55mm strips, enough to cover both sides of the bridge. Then I'll mark a line 25mm from the edge. That's the height of the bridge plus our lip. You'll notice that I'm making a triangle shape on the edges, what will be the decorative section of the bridge. The strips aren't long enough to cover the entire bridge in one piece, so I'll cut 3 different parts for each side. Once the 4 edge pieces are done, I'll double check the measurements and cut the remaining middle sections. And because we're going to have quite a few pieces floating around, I'm numbering them. Future me will appreciate this. Then it's just a bit of sanding to make everything smooth. Back to the bridge now. We need to decide where these barriers are going to attach. I'm marking the center of the bridge thickness along the strips, then adding a mounting point roughly every 60 millimeters. That's a good distance for a barrier that's going to be taking full speed impacts from slot cars. And then
we will drill, baby, drill.
I'm using a 3.2 millimeter drill bit here, slightly larger than the screws I'll be using. That gives the material a little bit of room to move as it expands and contracts with the seasons. Because apparently even slot car barriers have to deal with climate change. Now we need to transfer those mounting points onto the bridge itself. For accuracy, I'm temporarily holding the strips in position with double-sided tape. Then I can simply drill through the holes we have already made. This time I'm using a smaller bit to match the screws. While test fitting everything, I noticed something. The decorative pointy section I made earlier wasn't following the curve of the bridge properly. It wanted to stick out. So instead of overthinking a way to bend them in place, I took the cowardly way out and cut them to a simpler, angled shape. And this is exactly why we test fit things before making permanent decisions. With both sides drilled, it's time to countersink the holes. That way the screw's head will sit flush with the surface. And there's one very important detail here. Make sure you countersink the holes on the right side of the strips, which in this case, it's the outside. So I'm afraid there will be no day drinking until the job is finished.
Oh, Mike, don't say that.
At this point, you deserve a break. So feast your eyes with this sizzling steak. Break over. Time for paint. I'm covering everything in a black primer to seal the pores of the MTF and to have a dark backdrop for when we add the decoration. Now for the sexy part. Some clear plastic. If you haven't figured it out yet, we are making this barrier transparent. Because if we're going to protect the cars, we should probably still be able to see them. For this, I'm using polycarbonate. Polycarbonate is roughly 30 times stronger than acrylic and has around 250 times the impact resistance of glass. So not only it's going to look good, it's going to be able to take a hit like a man. I will be cutting 55mm strips from this roll. But first, I need to figure out a way on how to cut this stuff without it immediately trying to return to the shape it came in. After some thought, I decided to let it do its thing, so I let it roll. And then I brought in some more convincing measures. Say hello to my little friend, the drop saw, the epitome of
Speed now and power.
Unfortunately though, not accuracy. After a couple of failed attempts, it became clear that this wasn't going to work. So I thought again, and behold my genius! Wait! This will keep the material straight enough to cut the strips properly. Sometimes engineering is about finding the right tool. And sometimes it's about putting something heavy on the problem. With enough clear strips cut for both sides of the bridge, we can start assembling the barrier. First, I'll make one matching hole at the edge. Then I'll drill the remaining holes one at a time as I assemble everything. This keeps the holes perfectly matched between the different layers. Now we can concentrate on the decorative outer layer. I decided to go for a more modern industrial panel kind of design. These panels will cover the screw heads and give the whole thing a much more finished look. Normally, I'll make this from another strip of 3mm MTF with some markings cut into it. But I had these little square pieces of wood sitting around the shop, and I thought I'll use those instead, because apparently I didn't have enough work already. I'll cut them to match the width of our strips and figure out how they're going to fit later. For now, I'm keeping both pieces, just in case. After a lot of very small cuts, we need to paint them. I'm going for our industrial silver finish, and because you already spent enough of this video watching me cut tiny pieces of wood, I'll spare you the painting montage. Here's the result. Black primer, one coat of silver, and honestly, pretty nice. Before we attach everything permanently, we need to take it apart one more time, because the clear plastic still has a couple of important details to deal with. First, we need to elongate these holes along the x-axis. The reason is thermal expansion. If we don't give the polycarbonate somewhere to move, the barrier can warp at temperature changes. And the easiest way I've found to do this without introducing cracks is a soldering iron. Then, it's time for some peeling porn. And finally, the little detail that makes a surprisingly big difference. I'm taking a green Sharpie and coloring the edges of the polycarbonate. And watch what happens. This completely boring, crystal clear sheet of plastic suddenly starts looking like glass. It's not magic. This is Craftmaster shit. To finish the illusion, I'm adding lines across the panels to mimic the edges of individual panels of glass, without actually cutting the polycarbonate into separate panels. I just noticed I say panels a lot. Anyways, this way, we're not compromising the barrier's structural integrity. And now we can finally put everything back together. The clear panels go in, and then it's time for our steel panels. These are designed to hide the screws, but I don't want to permanently glue them in place. If we ever need to repair something underneath, I still want access to those screws. So I'm using strong double-sided tape. That gives us a clean finish while keeping everything removable. If you don't trust the tape, another option is black hot glue. It's softer and more flexible than clear hot glue, and if you ever need to remove it, you can soften it with a heat gun. I am placing the panels like a modern day mosaic. I didn't have enough of the large squares to cover both sides of the bridge in a uniform way, so I'm also using the smaller offcuts. Good thing we kept those. 2 small pieces stacked vertically, then 4 large pieces, then 2, then 4, and so on. And completely by accident, it actually gives us a much more modern and industrial look that I had planned for. Which is exactly what Bob Ross would call,
"We don't make mistakes, just happy little accidents." There we go.
And finally, some lighting. This is a bridge, and bridges tend to be rather dark underneath, which isn't ideal if you still want to see your cars. So I'm adding 5-volt cool white LED strips. They're easy to cut to length, and I'll connect them using 22 gauge wire and my questionable soldering skills. If you haven't soldered before, this is actually a great project to learn on. It's very difficult to completely ruin it, so be brave. But if you rather save your bravery for something more important, or you simply don't have the tools, you can also use the no-wire wiring method I showed in a garage series using copper tape. Finally, I'm securing the wires using UV glue. It's quick, easy, and unlike super glue, it won't cloud the plastic or permanently glue your fingers to the project. And with that, the barrier is finished. A barrier is supposed to protect what's behind it. But on a racetrack, that's only half the job. Because if the barrier stops you from seeing the action, then you protected the wrong thing. So perhaps the best barrier isn't the one you notice, but rather the one you forget it's even there. The clear choice.